wrestling country in Ames, Iowa. You'll never again think of this sport as a showcase for gorgeous joy.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. The thrill of victory.
Brought to you by Championships. Here's Jim Lance.
This is Central Iowa. For most of the year, it's corn and wheat country. But from midwinter through early spring, the indoor passion is wrestling. And today, you'll be seeing the climactic event in the sport, the NCAA Wrestling Championship, from the Hilton Coliseum on the campus of Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa.
Hello, I'm Jim Lampley. In a few moments, you're going to be seeing fierce, sometimes violent action from an NCAA championship event which builds to its climax as dramatically as any other in collegiate athletics. The Hilton Coliseum will be packed with utterly devoted wrestling fans from all across the country. Nearly 400 wrestlers from more than 100 schools qualified to come here to Ames. You'll be seeing only the best of the best, the men who have made it through the draw to the championship matches in each weight classification. Once the action starts in this setting, it's quite a scene. And that's why I've come here a couple of hours early, along with our longtime expert commentator for wrestling events, Northwestern University head coach Ken Kraft, so that through the facility of videotape, we can take this quiet moment to explain to you something about how points are scored in collegiate wrestling. Coach, once we see the action, we're going to be talking about takedowns, reversals, escapes, near falls, how to make all those terms mean something to the viewer who's sitting at home and may see a wrestling match only once or twice a year.
The key, Jim, is the term control. You must watch for the two men trying to control the other man. Obviously, only one can do it at once. The ultimate control is to pin your opponent, put his shoulder blades on the mat for 1 second.
So generally speaking, points are scored either by taking control of your opponent, escaping from the control of your opponent, or by reversing the control situation.
That's correct.
Okay, we have brought two graduated Iowa State wrestlers, Bob Antonacci in the blue suit, Ernie Christ in the red suit, and now, Ken, with your help, they're going to demonstrate to us the specifics of how points are scored.
Okay, fellas. A match will begin with neither man having control in a neutral situation. They will then attempt to take the other man down. We'll see a takedown. We see Ernie in the red suit taking Bob to the mat. That's a 2-point takedown. Ernie's in control right now. Bob is going to score a reversal. He comes from a position of being controlled to a controlling position. Another way to score is to escape. Neutralize the situation. Neither man has control at this point. The escape is worth 1 point. Now let's get to a pinning situation. You can score by putting your opponent's shoulder blades on the mat. Right here would be a 2-point near fall, momentarily stopping the shoulder blades toward the mat. If we hold this for 5 continuous seconds, it's a 3-point near fall. Again, the ultimate is to pin your opponent. Put his shoulder blades on the mat for 1 second.
And this is the ultimate moment in collegiate wrestling. The NCAA championships are now ready to begin before a packed house of spectators who know and appreciate this sport. They come to this final round with some key figures on their minds. Wrestlers whose very presence on the mat will create special excitement. First among them, Bruce Kenseth of Iowa, a man who comes into this final round match with 4 straight pins in the tournament, 8 in a row overall. He was a runner-up a year ago. Kelly Ward of Iowa State, a 2-time runner-up with his last chance to win before home fans. And Mark Lieberman of Lehigh, a defending champion who may be the best-known wrestler in the tournament. An important rematch between Mike Land of Iowa State and freshman sensation Darrell Burley of Lehigh. Earlier this season, Land defeated Burley 6-5 in a dual meet. And between Mike Deanna of Iowa and Mark Chiarella of Michigan. Chiarella is a 2-time NCAA champion, but Deanna upset him in an overtime match for the Big Ten championship. The first match you'll be seeing, 118 pounds, between Joe Gonzalez of Cal State Bakersfield and Gene Mills of Syracuse. Gonzalez ranked #1, Mills #2, but earlier this season the situation was different before Gonzalez won their first match. I asked Mills if revenge would be a factor.
Sure. Everything I forgot. If I go out there and if I lose, he's going to deserve it because I'm not giving him nothing.
The earlier match between Gonzalez and Gene Mills took place in an East-West All-Star meet and did not count against the official records of either wrestler. So both wrestlers come into this final match with undefeated records on the season. Very briefly, remember, a collegiate wrestling match takes place in 3 periods. The first one 2 minutes, the second and third periods 3 minutes each. In the earlier match, Gonzalez defeated Mills by a point in the closing seconds of the third period.
Jim, this is the classic struggle. Joe Gonzalez, the takedown specialist on our left. Gene Mills, the mat wrestler, the guy that can win on the mat. But Mills scores the first takedown. He's ahead 2-0. He takes Gonzalez to the mat, and he's in control.
Most experts pick Gonzalez to win again. He is ranked #1 in this weight class by both major national wrestling publications. Right now, though, it is Gene Mills in control.
That's a surprise. I expected Joe Gonzalez to establish his superiority on the standing wrestling. Now he reverses Mills. He ties the score at 2-2. But look at him. He lets him go.
All right, keep going.
So that puts Mills ahead 3-2. As each time Gonzalez lets Mills up, he gives him a point.
It's been Gonzalez's strategy throughout the tournament and throughout the year to score the takedowns. And here we see him again in on a single leg, trying to take Mills to the mat. But Mills is tenacious. He won't let Gonzalez score.
If there's a difference in wrestling style, there's also a difference in demeanor on the mat. Mills in the orange, by far the more demonstrative and emotional wrestler. You can see things more on his face.
Referee Sutton just calls a stalemate when neither wrestler can improve his situation. Now they go back to the center, still in the neutral position.
Gene Mills of Syracuse in the orange. In his first trip to the finals, he's a junior in college. He's finished 3rd and 4th in this tournament before. Gonzalez, a junior college transfer, in his first year at Cal State Bakersfield.
Joe Gonzalez really controlling the situation right now, but look, Mills starts to come behind. Then we see Gonzalez dropping in underneath. Again, he's got Mills in trouble. When you've got a man sitting on his behind in that situation, you should score.
The 118-pound championship, the first period begins in a neutral position, but each succeeding period begins in the wrestler's position on the mat. And having won the coin flip, Gene Mills has elected to be on top here.
Mills, of course, wants to try and keep Gonzalez on the mat because this is his game. He likes to wrestle down here on the mat, make Gonzalez carry his weight, as well as look for the back points. He's going to try and turn Gonzalez toward his back.
Mills of Syracuse in the orange, Gonzalez of Cal State Bakersfield in the blue. Remember, Gonzalez is the favorite in the match, ranked #1 coming in.
Mills is, of course, leading at this point, 3-2, and he wants to knock Gonzalez down, take him off his base, but he's in a little trouble now. Looks like Gonzalez has got an opportunity to get an escape.
Has 1 point there, both.
And there's the escape for Gonzalez, tying the score at 3.
Now they come back to the center, and they will be in the neutral position. Each time that Gene Mills allows Joe Gonzalez to get up on his feet, he is losing a bit of an advantage because Mills, as Ken Kraft continually points out, is stronger when on the mat.
Another beautiful move by Joe Gonzalez into a double leg situation, standing. Now he's changed to the single leg. He'll try and get that foot high in the air and trip Mills to the mat. Does he have it? It's close, but no. No takedown, still 3-3. Mills is really battling here with the good balance, stopping Gonzalez's attacks.
Both of these men are close to 118 pounds in weight, but if you looked at them standing side by side, you'd think that Joe Gonzalez is 10 or 15 pounds heavier. He is that much more impressive a physical specimen.
There he goes again, in on that single leg. You won't see a better technician than Joe Gonzalez. And there's the takedown by Joe Gonzalez.
He leads 5-3 now.
And he lets Mills go. 5-4. Gonzalez leads.
Gonzalez again, in effect, giving up the 1 point for an escape in order to create an opportunity for another 2-point takedown. And he's getting close to it.
Gonzalez is in again. He likes that single leg. He scores the takedown. Mills right out for the escape. And look at Mills continue right behind. And another takedown. That ties it at 7.
So we had 5 points scored in a matter of less than 10 seconds. Gene Mills was momentarily down in the match 7-4. He's tied it back up at 7-7 with an escape. And then as Gonzalez apparently lost concentration, a quick takedown. Now they're on the mat where Mills, once again, is the stronger wrestler.
Another point-scoring factor is riding time. If one wrestler controls his opponent a minute more than his opponent controls him, he scores a point. And that can be a critical point in a close match.
Right now, Gene Mills is headed toward a possible 1-minute riding time advantage. So he would stand to gain the point in this match.
You're down.
Let's look at that quick exchange of points that tied the score. Joe Gonzalez is in on the takedown. He gains control. 2 points for the takedown. Immediately, Mills gets to the neutral position and the 1-point escape. And then Mills continues right behind to gain control with a 2-point takedown.
So Gene Mills came from 3 points down back to a tie score at 7-7 in a matter of seconds. And that is where things stand right now. And that's the end of the second period. There'll be 3 minutes to go when we come back.
Right. Syracuse down. California's up.
Final period, showdown for the NCAA championship at 118 pounds. You heard the officials say that man, Joe Gonzalez of Cal State Bakersfield, will have the advantage in the wrestler's position to start the third period because Gene Mills of Syracuse chose it at the top of the second period. Immediately, an escape for Mills. Now he leads 8-7, and Gonzalez will go for the takedown.
Gonzalez continues. He says, I'm going with my strategy. I'm better on my feet. I've got confidence on my feet. I'll let you go even to give you the lead, and then I'm going to score the takedown.
See the tenacity of Gene Mills as he tries to shoot for a takedown. Getting underneath Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is blocking him well, though. He counters well. He attacks well.
Score is 8-7 right now, favor of Gene Mills of Syracuse. Remember, these wrestlers have met once before during the course of the season, and Gonzalez won a 1-point match.
Gonzalez is in. He's got him up in the air, and he puts him down. A 2-point takedown for Joe Gonzalez.
And in this seesaw battle, Gonzalez now leads 9-8, and he lets Mills up again. So the score is tied now at 9-9.
Again, he's going to stay with it. Now watch his movement. He's the man that's in control. There he goes to the single leg, to Mills' left leg. He's going behind, and he's scoring. Does he score? No. Referee says no takedown yet. He's got to get control, and there he does.
2 more points for Joe Gonzalez, and now his lead is stretched to 2 at 11-9.
He lets him go. It's 11-10. Gonzalez still is going to play the takedown game.
11-10 may turn out in effect in this situation to be a tie match because Gene Mills at this point has more than a minute's advantage in riding time.
It's getting to that point where the riding time, in fact, will be a point because Gene Mills does have a considerable amount, and there isn't that much time left in this match. Just about a minute. Mills now knows he's got to shoot. He's coming after Gonzalez, but he's not scoring.
1 minute. 1 minute to go. Joe Gonzalez of Cal State Bakersfield leading Gene Mills of Syracuse 11-10.
You've got to rest a little bit more.
And there's a warning against Gonzalez. The official warns him for stalling.
It's a stalling warning, and the next penalty would be a point. No points on that warning, though. Now, we see Gonzalez in again on the takedown. Will he get it?
He just got it. It's now 13-10, and Joe Gonzalez, with only 40 seconds to go, has a 3-point lead over Mills.
Escape again by Mills, and Mills comes behind for a takedown.
Now that ties it at 13-13. Remember that Mills will get the riding time point, so he stands to win the match now.
The score is now actually 14-13. Gonzalez has to get an escape to tie this match that could send it into overtime. Can he score? He's moving. He's going for it. He's on his back. That's a 2-point near fall.
2 more points awarded to Gene Mills, but he had already won the match. He did it by forestalling the last escape effort on the part of Joe Gonzalez. You see there the emotion of victory on Gene Mills' face. He has avenged his only loss of 1979, and in his third try, he has won his first NCAA championship. Final score, 16 points for Gene Mills of Syracuse, 13 for Joe Gonzalez in an exciting seesaw battle.
At the end of the match, Gonzalez needed a escape to tie the match. He goes to a sit-out, he gets caught in a suck-back, and that is the 2-point near fall for Mills.
Congratulations, Gene. That was terrific. Looked like he had the advantage, and he made a big mistake with about 25 seconds to go that allowed you a reversal.
As vice versa from the last time. I made my mistake, and he capitalized on it. And I just got him on the same. God was with me.
Same kind of match as the last time? You told me it was a real whirling dervish the first time.
Unbelievable.
You respect his ability? He's great on his feet, isn't he?
He's great. He's great. I respect the man. I love him.
Well, that's terrific that you feel that way about him after that kind of contact, and it was really an inspiring match. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Jim, you gotta love that kid. What a battler.
And what a match to set the tone in the opening match of the NCAA Wrestling Championships. We'll be back with more from Ames, Iowa. Right now, let's return to Jim McKay in our studios. American super heavyweight wrestler who won a bronze medal at Munich in 1972. The Iowa Hawkeyes, incidentally, have wrapped up their 4th NCAA team championship in the past 5 years. Iowa State will finish 2nd and Lehigh 3rd. We're going to be picking up now the second period of a match between Mike Land of Iowa State, who has an 84-match winning streak, and Darrell Burley of Lehigh, a freshman who gave him a scare earlier in the season. I talked to them about their strategies.
Well, he was tough. He gave me a really tough match the first time. I think he to me seems like he does a lot of upper body throws, and I'm just going to try to go after him and score as many points as I can.
You have wrestled Mike Land once before, a 6-5 decision for him. What are your memories of that match?
Just being apprehensive myself and not really going out towards him. That's basically it. But this time, you know, got a second chance, and I feel I'll do a lot better.
So you feel as though you need to be more aggressive against him?
Yes. You know, take it to him the whole 3 periods instead of maybe 1.5.
Their match took place in a dual meet. Land won it by a score of 6-5. It was the closest scare he has received during his 84-match winning streak. There is Darrell Burley, perhaps the outstanding freshman wrestler in the country. And right now, as the second period of their match in the 134-pound championship begins, Burley leads 2-0.
Burley didn't really try to control Land like I thought he would. In the first period, Burley was in control for over a minute and a half, and then he let Land up immediately at the beginning of the second period.
So the score is now 2-1, favor of Darrell Burley.
Land indicated that Burley is awfully good with upper body throws, and we see them locked up in an upper body situation. Land's got Burley in trouble. He hasn't scored. Burley comes up on top to score the takedown.
What a remarkable change in fortunes. For a moment, it looked as though Mike Land was headed towards a near fall over Darrell Burley, but Burley, with sheer strength, turned it around and made it a takedown for himself. He now leads 4-1.
And he's got Land in trouble. It looked like Land was going to be able to roll Burley there, possibly score a reversal. He got nothing out of it. Again, now Burley's getting too high. He's up too far to the forward, and Land does score the escape. Equal position, neither man in control.
4-2 now, favor of Darrell Burley. There's an aura of invincibility that surrounds the very mention of the name Mike Land here. He's wrestling before his home fans. He's a senior. He's the defending champion at 126 pounds. You can't say it enough. He has won an incredible 84 matches in a row. But right now, he's got all he can handle from this freshman from Lehigh, Darrell Burley.
The amazing thing to me is Burley doesn't seem to be impressed with all those statistics. But now we see Mike Land in on the takedown. He ties the score.
Tied up at 4-4. That's the most decisive moment of the match so far for Land. He seems to be coming on.
Sit down, Titan. Burley looks like he's beginning to tire.
Now here again is the takedown in slow motion.
Burley tries a leg sweep Looks like he's put himself in terrible position, but look at the balance. He fights out. He's going to come up with that strong leg drive and gets the takedown.
Good job by the official waiting for the decisive moments before he made the call. Now they're up again. Score remains 4-4, and now it is 5-4 as Darryl Burley scores an escape.
Now let's take a look and see who now is the attacker. We see Land drop in. Burley counters, and now we go upper body again. Land attempting what we call a bear hug. His hands are locked around Burley's chest and waist. But Burley just stays in with an overhook and an underhook. Burley is under Land's right arm and over his left. He wants to throw again the same takedown he scored with.
Upper body strength is the critical factor when they're in the standing position like this. So far, Darryl Burley is holding his own. And he leads 5-4 over Mike Land with 1 period to go. Darryl Burley, the freshman from Pemberton, New Jersey, and Lehigh University, who currently leads Mike Land of Iowa State 5-4 going into the 3rd period. Land in the advantage position as they start this period. Burley leads the match 5-4, and now he has extended the lead to 6-4 with an escape.
A quick move by Burley, which took his hip right up in the air and knocked Land off over the top. So the score is 6-4. Burley leads. And here we see it again, Jim, over and over, the upper body. The bear hug by Land, the overhook and the underhook by Burley. And Burley's got the best of it. Again, he's got Land in trouble.
Darryl Burley, another takedown, and that extends his lead to 8-4 over Mike Land. You can see there's not that much time remaining in the match, and now Land is in serious trouble in front of the home crowd at Iowa State, and they are beginning to get edgy.
Burley seems to have this thing under control. Land doesn't move like Mike Land generally moves, but of course, he's got Darryl Burley on top of him, and that does make a difference.
Even the local papers have speculated that Land has not been wrestling as aggressively or effectively lately, wondering if maybe the 84-match winning streak is beginning to create pressure.
The Land escape we just saw makes the score 8-5, but Land's problem right now is to take Burley down to the mat and score.
Only 35 seconds to go. Burley, the freshman, still controlling Land, the senior. And there's a stall warning against Burley.
Referee Keith Young says, Burley, you are stalling. That's a warning. If he's penalized, it'll be a point next time, so Burley goes in again.
Burley will have to be more aggressive now, but there's not that much time left. Just 15 seconds. Darryl Burley still holding on to an 8-5 lead. He can afford one mistake from here on in because he has the riding time advantage.
And Land goes behind for a takedown, but that's not going to be enough. The upset is Burley's going to win this one.
So for the first time in 85 matches, Mike Land has lost, and a freshman, Darryl Burley, has won an NCAA championship at 134.
Here's the early escape at the beginning of this period. Land gets too high up on Burley, and Burley just kicks him right off for the escape.
Congratulations. You're well aware, I'm sure, that you just beat a man who hadn't lost in 85 on his home court for a national championship. That's quite an accomplishment.
It is indescribable at this moment.
It must mean an enormous amount to you. My only problem, or your only problem now, is that in 3 years you're going to have a hard time living up to this great accomplishment.
Well, I tell you, if I had to beat somebody, I'm glad I took it from him, because I'm going to have to push harder to live at the standards that he set for wrestling.
Do you think if you had not wrestled him once before and come so close to beating him, you would have had the confidence to be able to wrestle him the way you did in this match?
With a name like Mike Land, you have to meet him once to beat him the second time.
Well, you did it. Congratulations, Darryl.
It's a shocking moment for the crowd here at Ames. They'd forgotten they could ever see Mike Land lose. And there he is, Mike Land, for the last time receiving the tribute of his hometown fans here at Iowa State. This time, surprisingly, as a runner-up rather than as a champion. But they haven't forgotten, and young Darryl Burley of Lehigh hasn't forgotten what he accomplished in 4 years of wrestling.
This reminds me of a time in 1970 when Dan Gable lost his last collegiate match after going undefeated throughout his high school and college career.
The agony of defeat, and now the thrill of victory. We'll be back with more from the NCAA Wrestling Championships in Ames, Iowa. Now let's return again to our studios in New York and Jim McDade. He comes into this match with 4 straight pins. Dick Knorr of Oregon State on the bottom.
Dick Knorr is the only man that has beaten Bruce Kinseth all year. They met in an earlier dual meet, and Knorr won that match by 1 point. But Kinseth has been just overwhelming with everybody he's wrestled throughout this tournament with the 4 straight falls, and he also had 4 straight falls in the Big Ten tournament 2 weeks ago.
He may have one right here. He's got Knorr down.
Knorr scored the escape, but Kinseth went right to him, put him on his back. Dick Knorr is in trouble. He's got to get those blades off the mat. There's the fall.
The first pin we've seen in this championship round, and Bruce Kinseth of Iowa has set the crowd on his feet. He has now scored 5 straight pins in the tournament. No one has done it since his coach, Dan Gable, did it back in 1969. What an impressive wrestler Bruce Kinseth is.
Bruce Kinseth, he sets the tone when that first whistle blows. He says, I'm coming after you. If you're going to wrestle 8 minutes with me, you better be ready. Here we see the trip, the bear hug trip. He takes Knorr right straight to his back, and he has got what you call the super bear hug. Knorr cannot budge. He's on his back. The fall is there. Even though he struggled, he's battling, and there it is.
So after being runner-up a year ago, Bruce Kinseth left no doubt this year at 150 pounds, and Iowa's team champions have an individual champion in this man.
Mario Andretti wins the 19th.
Back at Ames, Iowa, we are picking up the 158-pound championship match in progress, and you're going to be watching another local favorite. His name is Kelly Ward. That's his mother, Ellen Ward, and that's his father, Bob Ward. They sit in the front row watching this match. Bob Ward is a former football coach at the University of Maryland. And the man on the left of your screen is their son, Kelly Ward, who wrestles for Iowa State and is in the 3rd period leading this championship match by 4-2 over Dan Silverberg of Minnesota.
Silverberg's got to put the pressure on. He's behind 4-2, but Kelly Ward steps into a high crotch single, moving behind. Silverberg's trying to go the opposite direction. And there's the takedown. Score 6-2. Ward leads it.
Last chance for the fans of Iowa State here at Ames to get some satisfaction out of this final round. Ward is a 2-time runner-up. He lost twice in the finals to Lee Kemp of Wisconsin, who was an unbeatable wrestler during the last 2 years of his collegiate career. And this is Kelly Ward's last chance to win an NCAA championship.
You're still down, Green.
Silverberg,
55 seconds.
he's a very unorthodox type wrestler. He just went to the mat, which is something most wrestlers wouldn't do, but you never know what Dan Silverberg's going to do, and he can score big at any time.
This is the 3rd time they've wrestled each other this year, and it's the rubber match. Silverberg having once upset Ward.
Kelly Ward has indicated that he's got to be concerned for the unorthodox moves that Dan Silverberg may make, but he's going to win it. Kelly Ward on top.
A controlled victory for Kelly Ward of Iowa State, and an emotional moment for the fans here in Ames as they salute a senior Cyclone who has gone out with a victory.
And Kelly Ward throws his headgear into the stands. I don't know whose souvenir that's going to be, but it's there.
There's his father, Bob Ward. I'll be trying to get a word with Kelly.
Congratulations. Wow. Well, you told me he had an unusual style, and it seemed to take you a long time to find something that would work.
I wrestle the same way I always do, but I had to win this one for Mike, man. Mike is the best guy in the world. I went back there and cried my eyes out when Mike lost. That's the only thing that makes me sad. This is the happiest day of my life, plus the saddest seeing Mike lose. I'm still kind of broke. I had to get over that. give Mike I just love Mike.
You mean Mike Land? It's terribly difficult, I'm sure, for you to see him lose that 84-match winning streak. Incredible loss.
You came back very, very strong. I've got to tell you, I watched your father throughout the match, and he seemed to be pretty calm, but I didn't know if your mother was going to make it.
She's crying. She made it.
Congratulations, Kelly.
We're picking up the second period now of a revenge match extraordinaire. Mark Chiarella of the University of Michigan won the last two NCAA championships at 150 pounds. This year he has moved up to 167 pounds, where he's trying to become only the 26th three-time NCAA champion in the history of this meet. His opponent is Mike Deanna of the University of Iowa, who upset him just 2 weeks before this match in the finals of the Big Ten Championship in a great overtime match. So Deanna is trying to pull his second consecutive upset victory over Chiarella. Right now, Chiarella has a 3-1 lead in the match.
The Big Ten final match is one of the all-time great matches that I've seen. 14-14 and then a 6-4 overtime win for Deanna. They had met earlier this year in 2 matches, and Chiarella won those with ease.
But Deanna believes that during the course of his 3 matches with Chiarella, he's learned enough about him to know his stylistic weaknesses, and they certainly aren't many, because Chiarella was the outstanding wrestler in this meet a year ago. He's one of the very top names in collegiate wrestling.
Chiarella jumping 2 weight classes does have an effect, too. You remember he was at 150, and 17 pounds can make a difference, but he's handled it well. Now he's in on a takedown, and immediately to a near-side cradle. He's got Deanna in trouble.
Deanna can't move. Chiarella trying to secure the pin.
Referee Sidden is checking those shoulder blades as they're both down for a second to fall.
So revenge is sweet for Mark Chiarella of Michigan, who comes back from his loss to Mike Deanna in the finals of the Big Ten Championship to pin Deanna and wrap up his 3rd NCAA championship. Twice at 150 pounds, this year at 167. He's accomplished about as much as a wrestler can. Now let's go back to Jim McKay in our studios.
In the other matches that we didn't see, in the 126-pound class, Randy Lewis of Iowa defeated Joe Azavita of Cal State Bakersfield 20-14. In the 142-pound class, Dan Hicks of Oregon State won a referee's decision over Scott Trezino of Iowa. Possibly the country's most outstanding wrestler, Mark Lieberman of Lehigh, won his 177-pound match when Bud Palmer of Iowa was disqualified for stalling. In the 190-pound match, Eric Wace of Oklahoma State defeated Mike Brown of Lehigh 11-5, and in the heavyweight match, Fred Bona of UCLA defeated Dave Clem of Eastern Illinois. And by the way, the man voted the most outstanding wrestler in the tournament was Bruce Kinseth of Iowa. In the final team standings, the University of Iowa was 1st, Iowa State was 2nd, Lehigh finished 3rd, and Oregon State was 4th. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arling. Our coordinating
Welcome to Pinning with acclaimed wrestler and coach Wade Schalles. Wade has compiled an impressive list of awards and honors. 4-time NCAA champion, the NCAA national and world record holder for the most wins, the NCAA national and world record holder for the most pins, world university champion, outstanding wrestler, and captain of the world team. Wade's the man who can show you how it's done. Now, here's Wade Schalles.
To achieve success in wrestling, you must have security in knowing that you're in top physical condition, you have confidence in your technical skills, and a hunger to compete, a need to perform. Being strong in one or two of these areas can compensate for weaknesses in another. I've found that champions always excel in at least one of these areas. In this tape, we are going to concentrate on improving one of the most important technical skills a wrestler can develop, the ability to pin people. But before we go into that aspect of the sport, let's look more closely at conditioning. There is only one way to get into shape, plain and simple hard work. Footballers get into shape for football by playing football. The best way to get in shape for wrestling is by actually suiting up in wrestling. You should wrestle as long as you can, Stop for a short recovery period, then wrestle some more. The best way for wrestlers to lose weight is by increasing their daily workload and decreasing the amount of calories they consume. This, by contrast, is the best way you increase your level of conditioning. The more you increase the time you spend wrestling and decrease the rest periods between, the greater your level of conditioning becomes. Supplementary forms of conditioning should include daily running routine, varying your distances, depending upon what is to be achieved. Short and middle distance sprints increase the amount of energy you have per match, or more commonly known as actual bout conditioning. The longer distances, say 3, 4, or 5 miles, help increase your long-term cardiorespiratory efficiency. In simpler terms, it gives you the ability to be as physically efficient and mentally alert in the last bout of the day as you were in the first bout. Various forms of calisthenics should also be incorporated into a daily workout. Each calisthenics should be designed to increase your heart rate while creating muscle fatigue. Jumping rope is an excellent form of calisthenics, as is 4-man push-ups. Weightlifting is another form of conditioning that will also add to your total worth as a wrestler. The best program you can follow in lifting is one that simply makes you work hard and work often. When you're not in season, lifting should be done 3 times a week and be designed to increase strength. During season, your lifting schedule should shift to twice a week and concentrate on maintaining the strength and power you achieve during the off-season. This can be accomplished by decreasing your weight and increasing your number of repetitions per set. The more strength you develop, the more it contributes to your overall level of confidence and proportionally improves your technique. But remember, no matter what you're doing to improve yourself as a wrestler, quality is always better than quantity. It is much better to wrestle with intensity for an hour than to wrestle for 2 hours without it. Combine technical skills with physical conditioning and you have an unbeatable combination. In this tape, I will provide you with the essential technique necessary to improve your pinning ability and make you the winner you know you can be. Spend time watching each move, analyze each position, and study all the individual components that make this technique the best in the field today. Let's now go to the wrestling ring. Let's take a closer look at pinning and a great way to teach the technique. As you can see, we have taken a starting circle, which is standard on most wrestling mats, and painted a clock's face around the perimeter. During today's instruction, and when related to a mat situation, we teach that your opponent's head always points at 12 and his feet at 6. This simplifies commands and makes it easier to understand. After your team picks up this principle, you can shorten it again and just say 1 o'clock. That's in accord with the philosophy that I've had for a long time in coaching. Always hold the verbal commands you give your athletes to 2 or less words. Don't confuse them. It's easier to say and understand pin them than it is to go into a lengthy explanation of what you want. Basically, keep it simple. To pin the better opponent you'll meet each year, there's one concept to remember. You must create discomfort and a large amount of it. As long as your opponent is thinking about wrestling, he'll fight to keep at least one shoulder blade off the mat. Your job is to create diversion from this thought. Instead of him thinking, I can't get pinned, my coach will kill me, he's thinking of the discomfort he's feeling and forgets about his shoulders. Let's assume for a minute we already have our opponent on his back. We must do one of 4 things in order to pin him. We must either pick his head up, putting his shoulder blades down, can be done with a half Nelson, or pick the other end of the body up, the legs, such as in a stack situation, or, if neither of those are available, when he's on his back, having a reverse half, bottom arm, right arm, pick it up, left shoulder comes down. If he's on his other side, on the left side, pick up the left arm, puts the right shoulder down. Now, once we've achieved one of those 4, 2 would be better, 3 would be great. Once we've achieved those, we must have a couple basic principles to follow. 1, chest on chest. We must put as much weight of my body onto his chest as possible. Slows down his breathing. When his body doesn't get as much oxygen as it needs, the will to win will decrease and his shoulders will get down. So we have a chest on chest situation. In order to get more weight there, we get up off our knees, more weight onto him. From here, right angle, our body's out to the side. Next thing we want to do is legal pain, creating discomfort. In this situation, as an example with a half Nelson, we have his chin. We want to rotate his head, pick our elbow up, and at the same time create as much discomfort. When his will to win decreases, the shoulder blades will go down. The first base we're going to cover is that of the half Nelson. It is probably the most common and most commonly known of the pinning combinations. There are many ways in which we can end up in this position, and here are just a few. To create discomfort with a simple half Nelson, you must complete 2 tasks. One, secure the chin and rotate the neck. And two, elevate his head by lifting your elbow. What I'd like to demonstrate right now is a move that we call the 7. It is a simple way of getting into a half Nelson, one I think you'll enjoy doing. It gets the job done. Let's assume that our opponent has taken a shot in a double leg, where you, of course, sprawl. From the sprawl situation, which most of you end up in during the season, we have underhook one arm and roll over the other. Or vice, we can come in any combination thereof. The underhook arm comes over, grabs the chin, free hand goes to his right wrist from here. Now you have a choice of either ducking your head underneath his armpit, raising his arm, putting your head under, or getting it under any way you can. Once we do from here, wrist control, chin, duck under the arm. From here, a simple sit-out. Sitting out, that puts him onto his back. As we turn, we already have the chin secured. As we turn it, right angle, I have the chin now twisted and the head picked up. This creates the discomfort we were talking about, but we want him to put his shoulders down. Now with chest-on-chest pressure, lean forward and down. Notice where my right leg is. It's pointing in the same direction as his head. That is designed that this man would be in an opportunity to use his legs to drive himself out of bounds. My right leg will stop him from going in that direction and keep him put and secure the fall.
Let's look at this in slow motion. It's important here to notice that my buttocks never touches the mat and the back arching motion of my body during this move. I already have the chin secured. I now twist, pick, and chest pressure for the fall.
Most of your pitting combinations are achieved by either driving at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Most common mistakes individuals make is they drive chicken wings half Nelsons at 9 or 3. Another simple way of getting into a half Nelson situation, which is very good for high school students, is by a head and armpit. This is done from the referee's position and utilizes the breakdown. From the referee's position, when the referee says wrestle, we slide our hand from the elbow down to the wrist. As we do that, my head comes over into the armpit. Over to here. From here, I want to drive my opponent at 1 o'clock down to his chest, keeping my head in his armpit, controlling the wrist, keeping pressure down, shoulder flat. From here, what I want to do, lift the arm up, creates leverage and pressure, holds the band down in this bottom position, and when I'm ready to go, I duck underneath the arm, I sit through, I come on up into my half Nelson and chin again, creating discomfort by picking the chin, twisting up with the head. Thus. Again, notice my left leg. It always goes out the same direction the spinal column and the head is pointing. Reason, so if he decides that at some point a bridge or attempts to scoot with his legs to get out of bounds, assuming this is the out of bounds line, he can't do so because he has to drive through a power limb of mine, my leg.
Let's look at this in slow motion. Drive your man at 12 o'clock and make him carry your weight. Duck the arm, secure the chin, pick him up, drive over, rotate the head, up with the elbow, chest pressure, and the fall.
Many times in a match, you'll end up in a whizzer situation. Where you've either taken a shot, you're riding a man, and he pulls his arm back. One time or another, whizzer. What do we do from the whizzer situation? First thing we must do is neutralize this power that he can create with this arm. If not, I'm going to get a sudden headache and he's going to whizzer me down into the mat. What I want to do to stop the whizzer situation is to take my knee, my right knee, the one that's closest to him, and come to a right angle with my body and stick the right knee in front of his. As I do so, I've taken away the power he has of the whizzer. The knee in front neutralizes the whizzer. Now that we neutralize the problem, let's put him on his back with a half Nelson. What we want to do is go head hunting. We want to come over the top of the head with a half Nelson. In order to get this head just a little bit lower than it is now, it's a little bit of a dangerous situation to come up high. What we want to do is lower his head. We do that by pulling him in a circular motion toward my outside leg. As I pull him to here, his head will lower. When it does, we come over top, purchase the chin, take him on down, finish the same way we've talked about. I got the chin, rotate the head, pick it up, get my foot in front of the head, and the pinions will be secured for you.
Again, in slow motion, place Place your knee in front of his. Force his head down by circling his body. Secure the chin. Weight forward. Over and down. Rotate, pick. Chest pressure. The pin.
Many times you have an opportunity to flatten a man out and go into a chicken wing or turkey bar series. Here's a way we can get into a half Nelson situation. Again, repeating what we've done. We want to secure the chin, okay, twist the head, and pick it up off the mat. From referee's position, when he's behind his butt, and the midline from here, I'm going to kick, shift his weight forward onto his arms. I'm taking one of the legs of the table out, his left leg of the table. He'll flatten out, his head will be at 12 on the breakdown. As I chop and kick, boom, knocking down, I have an opportunity to slip into my chicken wing. I want to have my hand pointing across his spinal column, forming an X. My forearm and his spinal column forms an X. I make a fist, thumb is in the up position from here. From here, I want to sit through, pulling his arm up, and move forward. From here, he knows that I want to drive him over at 1 o'clock to his back. He will put a limb of a tree, his body being a tree, out to stop from rolling that direction. From here, we go underneath his arm, fingers do the walking, out away from his head. Why? What we're going to do now is go to a half Nelson. If I brought my hand straight in and started going a half, I'll get about halfway, and he'll realize, uh-oh, here comes a half, and he'll either grab my fingers, stop me, or just pull his elbow into a side, and I'll be able to get the half. A way of tricking him, your hand goes out away like you're going for a one-on-one on the wrist, get your arm completely through, then come over on the half. You got the half Nelson, you didn't realize it, it's now too late. From here, we come to the other side of the body, the side the half Nelson is on. Have the chicken wing across, keeping it legal, fist in the middle of the back. Jump across the side here, and now, back to the clock, we want to drive our opponent at 11 o'clock in this situation. Don't make a mistake and drive at 9 o'clock, as most individuals have a tendency to do. 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, depending upon the side you're on. From here, we drive him up to his side using our legs. From here, I sink my body down, I slide down. As I do, I sink the half Nelson much deeper, so I'm able to reach around, and of course, again, get the chin. From here, I want to continue to drive. If the arm starts going up his back, potentially dangerous situation, you no longer need it. You can either release it and continue to drive with your half Nelson, or if it's still in a legal position, you can keep it. In this case, I will let go of it and continue to drive half Nelson on over to his back, twist the head, pick it up, place my foot in front of his head, stop him beside off the mat. We've created discomfort, and the shoulders will go down.
Let's analyze this in slow motion. Chop. Notice my right leg is forward, which helps me control his left shoulder and arm. Reach across, under his arm, sink your arm deep, come over to the top of his head with securing the half, jump across to the opposite side, drive at 11 o'clock until he reaches his side. Once you have him on his side, adjust down, allowing you to get the half Nelson deeper. Go to the chin. Here I release the chicken wing for fear of the official breaking it as potentially dangerous. And continue on over. Create discomfort.
From our feet, an opportunity arises every now and then to put a guy on his back with a half Nelson pin. This is called a front chancery. It's done after an individual has shot on you and had an opportunity to sprawl. He shoots, sprawl. Again, we want to stop him by sprawling, underhooking his arms. From the underhook situation, my right hand comes down to the chin. When it hits the chin, the other arm stays underneath. If we're over top, we have the severing situation we've talked about already. If we'd like to stay under that, we want to bring our arm at the elbow joint, put my arm up, put it across his back. Hand comes up, across his back, forearm, spinal column forming an X. From here, I want to create a right angle. We talked about pinning. Right angle, chest on chest. In order to take him over, I must get to a right angle. I move my body out to the side from here, and now I'm driving in a direction again. If his head is pointing at 12, as we said, I will be driving him at 1, not at 9 o'clock, off to his right. From here, turning him down to the side. I have the chin secured once more. Twist the head, take the head up, tighten it up right now. Most of your half Nelsons, you want to tighten it up with his head in the air. You're cutting off his wind. You're slowing his breathing down. It makes it difficult. You're creating discomfort. And now he's starting to panic. He's more worried about where his next breath is coming from than where his shoulders are in relation to the mat. He's no longer going to fight. Create discomfort now. Make him want to quit now. He wants to get off the mat. Then slowly force his shoulders down to the mat, and the referee will call it, and will terminate the bout. Let's analyze this in slow motion.
You can derive more power and speed from this hold if you remain on your feet and stay off your knees. On over, form a right angle with your body and make him carry your weight. Once he's near to the fall, tighten it up, create legal discomfort, decreasing his will to win, chest pressure forward, the fall.
Let's try to combine breakdowns, rides, with pinning. Here we have a situation we call a ride. You go from the right side. If I'm riding opposite side, what I want to do is control my man's left arm and drive him at 11 o'clock. If I was riding conventional side, off to the left, I would drive him at 1. But now opposite side, from referee's position, and on the elbow, from the start, the one that's on the elbow comes under and across. I want to control his far elbow, left elbow, little finger on the elbow. From here, hand comes out from around the waist, goes in between his legs, and down to the near knee. I want to come to the front of the near knee. From here, I'm pulling his front left support out, left tail leg of the table, and I want to drive him at 11, not 9 o'clock. If I drove at 9, his left leg would be able to stop me. He'll post his left leg out there and stop being able to drive that direction. But he has no post, no support base at 11 o'clock. When I pick that knee up, even if you have the foot out at 9, it doesn't do any good. Pull down, pick up on this, and roll him over. My left hand went out as a post to stop him from continuing on rolling through. Had he rolled on through to here, we go back to the beginning of the tape. In a situation, we want to control the bottom arm. This case, his right arm is down. We go under at the elbow, pick that bottom elbow up. As we do, that top shoulder will go down. Okay? If he would go the other direction, the bottom arm becomes his left. Pick it up and on over. Now, once we drove it over, starting again from the referee's position, let's slip that into a half Nelson, what we've been talking about. Referee's position, far elbow, into the knee, pick, down for shoulder. As we do that, he turns to us to fight. We come over top with our regular half, sinking the arm in deep. That allows you to be able to reach around and get the chin. If you're unable to go the chin, 9 times out of 10, it's because your shoulder is not deep enough. You haven't put your arm in. You're out of the distance. You can't reach his chin. Sink your shoulder in deep first before you go back. In deep first, wrap around, secure the chin. Twist, pick, create discomfort, then continue the fall on down to his shoulders, placing my right leg in front of his head to keep him scooting out of bounds, and finish.
Once again in slow motion, look how low I have my right shoulder. That gives me extra reach with my right hand to secure his left elbow. I drive him at 11 o'clock, secure the chin, and form a right angle with my body. This creates limbs on his tree. Discomfort, the fall.
Before we move any further, I think it's conducive now to talk a little bit more about strategy and pinning and technique. I always tell my youngsters when I'm working with the high school kids or young individuals in wrestling that in the individual you're wrestling, let's picture him as being a tree. If I would take an axe and knock the tree down, chop at the base, the tree falls down. He's now laying on his belly, on the ground. We have limbs of the tree that are still there. His arms are pointing out, creating limbs out to the side. Now, as long as that tree is cut down and it has limbs on it, you are not going to be able to roll that tree left or right. Your job, in order to take this tree and turn it into a telephone pole, is by chopping off all the limbs. Once you chop all the limbs off the tree, there's no more limbs going out. This pole will roll from side to side, and thus a way of getting a guy to his back. In order for him to keep from going to his back, he must put limbs on his tree, the trunk of his tree and his limbs. He's got to keep limbs out or he's going to roll over. My job in all my pinning situations when he's belly down, in order to turn him, I've got to eliminate the limbs. In this situation, we're going into now a ride and a pinning situation known as a spiral ride. From referee's position, we want to take a hand that's on the elbow, go underneath the arm, and blocking the arm forward. At the same time, the right hand, the one that was on the navel, is making a fist and going into either the crotch or somewhere on the inside of the thigh. Thusly, as I come up with the arm. From here, I want to go into the name of the move, a spiral ride. I'm going into a spiral situation, circular motion, running, getting off my knees, making him carry my weight, slowing him down, creating a little more power for myself in drive from my legs, circularly, knocking him down. Boom. Referee's position, bump and chop. Bump, bump. Bump, chop. I've broken him down. Now from here, I'm again right angle, helps hold him down, keeps the referee off my back with stalling calls because I'm right at the right angle. I'm not riding parallel. I'm under the knee arm. Again, the same thing we did on that half Nelson we want to do here. Let our fingers do the walking. Get our arm underneath his arm before we go to half Nelson so he doesn't know it's coming until it's already on. From here, we go to the top of the head. Top of the head. Now, if he is to stop me from driving him to his right, he has two choices. Put a right arm out, battle block, limb of the tree. Or the right leg may come out, two limbs of the tree to keep him rolling that way. He doesn't want to roll, I want him to. The handle is in the crotch, keeps that leg back. Okay? Now, when I'm ready to go, I want to, assuming that his head is pointing at 12, although not so on this clock right now. Remember, the head always points at 12, feet at 6. From here, I want to come up, isolate, run. Come to the inside, grabbing the wrist. I want to remove the limb of the tree. You guys have all been here. Pull the arm in. Once you've gotten rid of the limb, this tree now becomes a telephone pole and easy to roll. From here, I'm driving at 1 o'clock. 12 o'clock up on his head, 1 o'clock the shoulder. Youngsters starting out here, you have a tendency to want to drive at 3 o'clock, off at a right angle. Do not. Take him up at 1, right off the shoulder, between the shoulder and his head, the 45-degree angle. Take him the limb in, one-on-one, pull it in, on the top of the head, drive him to a side. Once I'm here, what I should do in order to be able to grab that chin is adjust my weight down. From here, I slide down. It's just like when a guy shoots a double leg on you and he's sprawling from here. I sprawl down, my left hand, my half Nelson hand goes in deep. Sprawl. It's now in deep. I'm in elbow deep on his head. This hand now comes around, secures the chin. I pick, twist, and right here I hold him just for a second, creating discomfort. His wind is slowing down. The blood flow to his brain is being severely decreased, not to a point of hurting him, just convincing him that his shoulders want to go down. From here, I continue on by driving him down, keeping his head up, and the shoulders go flat and secure the fall. Let's take another look at this.
Remember to stay off your knees. Circle him down off of his base. Once you flatten him out, continue to drive, keeping weight up on the shoulders and head. Eliminate the tree limb and drive at 1 o'clock. Once you have him on his side, scoot back, reduce down, allows you to grab the chin, rotate, pick, create discomfort, and decrease his will to win now. Then set him down.
I think before we finish this section on the half Nelson, I want to clarify one point again, and that is this body, the man that you're wrestling, being a tree or telephone pole, we will always want to drive in most pinning situations, which I've covered today and we'll cover the rest of the tape, that we drive at either 11 or 1 o'clock in order to put him on his back. That is the most efficient and the easiest way of doing so. Why we don't drive at 3 instead of 1 is if I'm going to drive this man off to his side, him being a telephone pole or a tree, if he can put a limb out, this case being a leg, it will stop me, or a hand will stop me from trying to drive him or roll him to 3 o'clock. Okay, with the leg out there propping at 3, it does him no good to stop me from taking him at 1 o'clock. What stops him from going over at 1 o'clock, to say with a half Nelson, is his hand. I can't drive at 1 o'clock because his hand's out. But remember the tree, body being the tree. What I want to do is pull that limb in. Now he'll go at 1 o'clock. The leg still may be out protecting against me going at 3. A lot of times you'll end up in this position where you've driven the man incorrectly at 3 o'clock and you'll wind him almost into a sit-up. If you drive him at 3 o'clock, you can't get him over. Okay? And you drive him into a sit-up situation. What we want to do, you drive him up over his head at 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Now, finishing up half Nelsons, what else we got? The plain old half Nelson. Different times during the bout, you picked up an ankle, broken your individual wrestler down, boom, he's on the mat. You may be sitting on the leg. You may have